And you have to understand the structure of this formula or this expression.
Okay.
So what we have here is P times the quantity of 1 plus R over 100 over, time to the 5th power, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what this does is, and P is the initial number of leopards. Initial population. Initial. Oh shit. Initial number of leopards, and R is what? What is R?
R, percent each year.
Oh my God. Okay, and then R is percent increase each year.
Yeah.
Percent increase. Percent increase every year. Okay. And this expression gives us the population of leopards in 5 years. Okay. Because that's what the question tells us, right? Okay. So we need to understand which part of the equation corresponds to what part of the equation corresponds to what. Okay. So P, we know that it's the initial number of leopards, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And this 5, because they told us that this equation or this expression gives us the population of leopards in 5 years, and we see this is only 5, we know that this corresponds to years.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay.
Right. So this is years. Okay. And then P is initial, but we wrote that here. And then R is percent increase. Okay. So what this is, what the divided by 100 does is it converts the percent to a decimal. So if they say 50% increase, we divide that by 100 and we get 0.5, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you think about it the other way, that means this is already converted to decimal formation.
Oh, decimal formation. Oh, it's already converted to decimal.
Right? Does that make sense?
How do you know that it's already converted to decimal formation?
Because whenever we add values, so this is like, it's like a general rule in like solving word problems. When we add values or subtract values, they have to be in the same unit and they have to be the same type of value. So for example, what can I say as an example? For example, when I say, okay, so for example, say the word problem says, I have a car, right? I have a car and you have a vehicle that has 2 wheels. So I have one car, you have a vehicle that has 2 wheels, and the question asks me to find the number of wheels in total, right? So the numbers in the question are 1, 2, and 4, right? 1 car, 2 wheels, or not 4. 1 car, 2 wheels, and then how many wheels in total? This is what I'm trying to find, right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't add 1 and 2 because 1 tells me the number of cars, but 2 tells me the number of wheels you have in your vehicle. So but I still have to add to find how many wheels I have in total, right? In the end, I'm gonna have to add, right?
Yeah.
Before I add, what I have to do is I have to multiply my 1 by 4 because one car has 4 wheels, right?
Yeah.
So what that does is it converts my 1, which is one car. My unit is car, right? One car. It converts that to 4 wheels. So before I add, I have to get the 2 values, which is 4 now and 2, to have the same unit, which is wheels.
Oh, I see.
Right?
Yeah. But you're saying that I have 2 wheels, right? So
right.
what? So are you also saying that one car has 2 wheels?
No, because
No?
I said you have a vehicle that has 2 wheels.
Oh, vehicle.
Right. So it could
vehicle.
be a bicycle, it could be a motorcycle, it could be whatever.
Oh, I see.
All I know is that you have 2 wheels, and I have a car, which obviously has 4 wheels.
Oh, I see. I see. So
what I'm saying
like
is, for you to be able to add 2 values in a word problem, they have to have the same unit.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So you wouldn't add centimeters to inches before you convert one of the 2 to look like the other, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I'm saying, because we know that for this term, they divided by 100 to convert a fraction to a decimal, we're going to assume that that's also what they did for this one. So this one already had a divided by 100 done to it for it to become a decimal, which is 1.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Meaning that before it was divided by 100, this corresponded to 100%. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So what this inside expression, what that does is it adds the 100% to the percent increase. So if the percent increase is, for example, let's say 20%, this thing inside would tell me that it's 120%.
Oh, I see.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because
the point.
Yeah,
the 1 corresponds to 100%, and then the R is the percent increase.
Yeah,
and then I would divide by 100, right?
Yeah.
So,
or it can be like it is also 1.20, right? In decimal form, right? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then what I want to do is the reason why it's what is it? The reason why it's to the 5th power is because, okay, so let's pretend this isn't there. Let's pretend this part is gone.
Okay.
So all I have is P times 1 plus R over 100. Okay. So that would mean that only 1 year passed. Sorry. So when 0 years pass, this is the amount of leopards I have, P, which is because that's the initial number of leopards I have. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then when 1 year passes, they tell me that I have an R% increase. Right? So once I multiply that, so for example, if R is 20%, then it's 120% increase. So once I multiply that to P, I'll have 1.2P, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
the
1.2 is from the 120%, right?
Yeah, and then I would divide by 100, right?
Yeah.
So the 1.2P, so the 1P, so 1.2P, what? 1.2P is how many leopards I'd have after 1 year. Okay. So so if I split that up into 1P and 0.2P, one P is what I started with, right? The initial number of leopards, and then 0.2p is what increased during the 1 year.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the next year, another 20% increases from this number of leopards.
Oh, I see.
Right. So this is the first. This is after 0 years, and then after 1 year, and then the second year, another 120% of this of the previous year increases. So I'm gonna have to multiply by another 1.2. So basically what happens is 1.2, oh shit, 1.2 squared times p. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
So so where'd you get the squared again? The squared.
Because every time I go up a year, I multiply by 1.2 because every year 20% grows.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. Oh, I
So
see.
after the first year, I multiply 1.2 to the number of leopards in the previous year, which was p, right?
Yeah.
So the first year I get 1.2p, and then the next year I multiply another 1.2 to the number of leopards I had the previous year, which is 1.2p.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So
So
I
this is
multiply
the.
another 1.2. That's why it gets squared.
I see. So this is the second year, right? The 1.2 squared. That's the second
Yeah,
year.
this
Right?
is the second year. All right.
Mhm.
The next year, I multiply another 1.2, so another 1.3. I mean
Okay.
1.2. So it's 1.2 to the cubed
Mhm.
times p. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So that's why this is the number of years.
They're trying to go to the fifth year, or?
Now I'm trying to show you why this exponent means years.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So now do you understand why it's years?
Yeah.
Because I just keep multiplying the same number of growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So let's go back to the question.
Mhm.
Which of the following expressions gives the percent increase in the leopard population over these 5 years? Okay. So if I multiply this, I get 1.44p. Right? To know how much of the population increased from the original population, which is p, what I want to do is I want to subtract by p, right? Then I'm left with 0.44p, right?
Yeah, because that's the 100% of it. Is that like?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So if I subtract p, which is the initial number of leopards I had, I'll have 0.44p, right?
Yeah.
And then that tells me that the difference between the second year of leopards and the very initial year of leopards would be 44% of the original number of leopards.
Oh, okay.
Right? So R tells me what the percent increase is every year, right? But to find, let's say, if they gave me the number of leopards in 2 years, which is this, and then they gave me the original number of leopards, which is P, 0.44 would be the percent increase over the 2 years. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, it's because this is the second year, right?
Right, because it's the second year. Okay.
Okay. So, but this, are we trying to find for? Oh wait. So if it's like the fifth year, is it gonna be like 1.00p because it's 100% of it, or because
Why?
it says 5 years, right?
Uh-huh.
So is it
Why
going
would
to
it be
be?
100%?
I don't or are we trying to find for the 5 years for this one?
Yeah, we're trying to find what the percent increase is over 5 years.
Oh, I see. Then never mind then.
So back to okay. So because we're looking for percent increase, we can get in. If you look at this equation, this part, the P, doesn't tell us anything about percent, right? It's this part that tells me anything about percent, right? So the second part is what has to do with the percent, and then all I do is I multiply that percent to the original number of leopards to find how many leopards in total that I have, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay. So when I want to think about percent, I can get rid of this part.
Okay.
Because the P has nothing to do with percent.
I mean, isn't P just population?
Right. The P is the original population. So it has nothing to do with percent. So I'm going to disregard that. Okay. So I'm left with 1 plus. And I disregarded that because what I want to look for is percent increase over 5 years. Okay. So this tells me, so this expression tells me what the increase is going to be in 5 years, right?
Yeah.
So earlier, in this case, if I multiply by, if I squared it, it could be like 1.44 at the end, right? So here it's going to be something like 1 point something to the 5th power. And this 5 tells me it's 5 years.
Oh, I see. Okay. So you do the same thing as last time, right? You do the same thing as last time, right? 1.2 to the power of 5.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And it's just going to be 1.2 because the P got erased, right?
Right.
Oh, I see. Okay, because we just disregarded the P, right? Okay.
Also, it's not always 2. Like I just said that as an example, but it's gonna be
example.
R, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It's not. The percent increase isn't 20%. I just put that as an example. Okay. Then I want to find the. This is gonna correspond to like 100. For example, this is all an example. Okay.
Okay.
Like it can be like 167%, right? This is what it could correspond to.
Yeah.
Right. And that's going to tell me that from the original number of leopards, which is P, after 5 years, it's going to be 167% of the original P.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. But if I want to find how much increased by, I have to subtract the original number of leopards, right?
Yeah.
So I want to subtract by the original number of leopards, which is 100%.
Oh, I see. So
Make sense?
Find the percentage of the leopard.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes. So we can find the percentage of the leopards then, right?
Right. Okay. But if I go back to this doesn't give me percent, it gives me decimals. So for example, it's going to be 1.67, right?
Oh, I see. Right? So you didn't even so this part you didn't regard the 5, right? The years you didn't put the years in, right? We just focused on 1 plus R over 100.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So this part gives me decimals because it divides by 100.
Right? Wait, why did you include the 5 for the 1 plus R over 100?
Because 5 is multiplied to tell me the percentage over 5 years.
Oh, over 5 years. Oh, I see. But we're not
over
talking
5
about
years.
We're not talking about the over 5 years though for this one, right?
We are.
Oh, we are. Oh.
So over 5 years, the increase could be 1.67 or 167% But in this case, because we know that the percent is divided by 100, it's going to equal, for example, it could be 1.67, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then for us to subtract 100%, but in decimal form, we have to subtract 1.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, because one is just basically 100% but in
Right.
decimal form, right?
Right. So that tells me to find the percent increase, I have to take this part of the expression and then subtract that by 1.
Oh, I see. That's why it's subtracting by 1. Because you have to
Because
subtract it
subtracting by 1 is basically
100%.
equal to subtracting 100%, right?
Yeah, 100%. That's right. Oh, I see.
But I want to see my answer in percent form. So this is going to give me 0.67,
which is
right?
67%, right?
Which is 67%. But I want to see the 67%.
Oh, see the 67. Oh, I see. Okay.
So what do I have to do to get to 67%?
You multiply by 100, right?
Exactly. So what I do is I multiply this by 100.
Oh, I see.
This is how I find the percent increase.